Hello and welcome back to Let's Sew. This is the second video in the series. For those of you that don't know, my name's Amanda. I'm running a series of videos detailing how to sew directly from the beginning, so starting right from scratch and then leading all the way up to sewing something, making garments, making gifts, etc. The first thing I'd like to say today is thank you. Thank you to all the people that have liked and subscribed and given me a thumbs up on the videos and left comments and asked requests for demonstrations and things like that. That's exactly what I'd like you to do on this channel. And then I know how to build upon content that needs to go onto the videos going forward. So we're on lockdown at the moment still, although it has eased a little bit today. I've only been food shopping, I think, today. I've not really done anything else. Been in the garden a little bit. I've set up tonight on for the sewing in the conservatory. I'm just worried that if we were started outside that we'd lose the light, or some of the equipment might blow away. There's some really light bits of paper and little bits of equipment. So I thought it would be safer in here. So we'll start now with your basics, so I will pick them up so that you can see them. The first things that you're going to need are tape measures. I have a selection. You can get them nowadays where most of them have inches and centimetres on the same, on one side, and inches on the other, centimetres on one side, inches on the other. Some nowadays are actually coordinated and coloured in different sections, so every 10 centimetres on the tape is a different colour. So if you're not sure between centimetres and inches, if you're a more old school sewer like myself, and it's a little bit confusing with centimetres and inches, get the one that's colour coded. I think it'll help you a lot. I haven't got one, although I could do with one, but I tend to just use the normal ones, just normal, same colour both sides. This is just another one. This has got a little bit bigger print on this one, so it's easier to see if you're a little bit losing your eyesight slightly, so a little bit bigger writing. And on the back of this one is inches cut into eighths and also centimetres as well. So that's that one. Staying with the measuring theme, I'll just pop these in my box at the side that I've got here. Staying with the measuring theme, I also have, excuse me, a metal ruler. This was from a DIY shop. This is by Draper's, and this has got inches and millimetres and centimetres on both sides. This is brilliant if you've got a rotary cutter, which we'll come on to in a second, and you need to cut a straight line. This is metal, so the blade of your rotary cutter won't cut through this. So I'll come on to that in a second. It's also brilliant for when you're drawing patterns, which again will be another demonstration. When you're drawing patterns and you need a perfectly straight line, it's not going to move or bend out, you know, so you can just get a perfectly straight line. So that's that piece of equipment. And then we have another kind of measures. I've just been and bought a couple of new bits that I needed. So this is my old sewing gauge. There's a little bit on my new one, I'll show you. There's a little bit here broken off. This pointy bit goes on there. This is fantastic for hemming. It makes sure that you get the same pin. If you pin on the distances, on these notches, sorry, wherever you need to be, so every inch or whatever, they're all inches, every inch, if you put a pin, when you've measured, you can measure your hem like this, put this up to the fabric, I'll show you how to do that anyway, and take the hem up to whether it's an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, however long you need, or however high, should I say, that you need the hem to be. You can mark it with this pointer part, and then you know it's the same level all the way around. There's no second guessing. It's perfectly straight. So that's that one. This is the new one that I have, that I bought to replace that. This, as you see here, has got the pointy parts here that I said broken off the other one. It works exactly the same. The good thing with this is, on this one, it's got a point here at the end, which will help if you're making anything square like a bag or anything like that. This will help make sure that your corners are turned out really, really well, and that they look professional on the finish. So that's really good for that. It also helps you with the button as well. If you're sewing a button on, which we'll come on to again on another video. If you need a button with a shank, which has got a little raised part between the button and the fabric, so say for a coat, to help fasten a coat easier, this helps you do the shank. So we'll cover that as well in detail later on. So that's those. The next thing that you're going to need are needles. So this needle book I made myself. It's just a couple of pieces of fabric. We can make something like that along the way. In here I have all sorts of needles. These are all hand sewing needles. And in the pocket in the front I have got spare needles. They're darning needles, and also I have a needle threader in here as well, which helps me thread the needle for hand sewing. I sometimes can't see them, particularly on the ones where they're really tiny hole at the top of the eye. So this is a selection of needles, as you can see. Leave my bits of thread and things in. I best push that in a little bit more. That stops you from losing them, and it also stops you from catching yourself on and pricking your fingers with them. You know that they're safe inside this. You can buy these, or you can just put them in a little box or leave them in the original packet. I've just, for years and years and years, been sewing, so this is the one that I made myself to use. You collect needles and things along the way. So that's this piece of kit. I'm just popping all these in a box at the side. I'll show you. This is the box. And I keep this at the side of my sewing machine. It's not my normal kit box, if you like. This is what I use. Everything to do with my sewing machine is in here, like bobbins and spools and screwdriver, things like that, which we'll go on to. But just for the moment, for this video, I'm popping everything in here. If you wonder what I'm doing, popping things to the side. Okay, so then the next thing you will need are pins. There are some clips as well that you can buy now, which they are quilting clips normally, but you see they've got an archway at the top here. This is so it holds onto your fabric. If your fabric's thick or thin, even thick, it holds all thicknesses of your fabric and holds it tight rather than pins. If you want the original item, we can get pins. Now there's pins of all sizes, shapes and dimensions, lengths for different things, such as silk pins, bridal pins, dressmaking pins, all different ones. There's glass-headed pins, which are the best ones to buy if you need the ball head, the glass head ones, because when you iron your seams, which we'll go through, when you iron them, if you get them with a plastic head, they can melt and then mark your fabric. So you're better off with glass head pins if possible. I also use these for little seams as well, these little clothespin peg things. These are in the craft aisle of any sewing shop or craft store or anything like that. I've got loads of things like that, bits and bobs together. So that's all my pins. These are kept in a little old tin. I don't need anything fancy in there. Bulldog clips as well. They're good for pinning your fabrics and things together, just on the corners or on the edge when you need a little bit tighter hold. That's those. And going on from needles and pins, if you're going to do your hand sewing, if you're going to hem by hand and things like that, you're going to need, if you want to, need a thimble. I tend not to use it because I find them a bit difficult, but if I'm sewing anything quite thick, then fabric thickness like leather or anything like that, or PVC, I tend to use a thimble because it stops the needle from going into your skin. There's loads of different ones available. There's China ones. This is a metal one. I think this was my mum's actually, and it's normally kept on this finger here. What's that one? Your middle finger. Yeah, it's normally kept on your middle finger. If you find it easy to put it on your ring finger and push through your needle with this finger, then that's fine. It's not aimed for this finger, your index finger, because that's the finger you normally will put the needle through. So then you can't into your fabric, you won't be able to guide the needle properly if you've got the thimble on. So you pop the needle through the fabric, push it with the thimble. But as I say, I don't tend to use them unless I am sewing a thick fabric by hand. Now, also with pins, you're going to need a pin cushion. This is one that I bought from a craft fair, and it's like cactus. Yeah, it's a cactus in a little terracotta pot. I tend to stuff all sorts around these bits. You see, there's a pen there, pen there. Now, seam rippers also, I put mine in here as well. I'll go through these with you. I tend to stick these in here as well so that I don't lose them. Seam rippers are perfect for any sewer, whether you're experienced or not experienced. I would recommend you get a couple of these at least. As I say, they go missing, they get tied up in your fabric, they get in your box, you don't know where you've put them. Brilliant, brilliant piece of kit. And they're great for unpicking stitches if you've done them wrong, but also for unpicking, say if you've got some garments in your wardrobe that you don't like and you want to change them into something else, which is another thing that we will be looking at, then these are great for unpicking the seams, and they do it easily and without any fuss. This one has got a brush on the end. This is to clean your sewing machine, which we need to clean the sewing machines out. We'll go through that in the video about sewing machines. This is to clean your sewing machine around the workings of where your bobbin sits and around the needle and where the press foot is, which means that your machine will keep working and will sew better as well. Now, this tends to come off and pop in there like so as a safety, so that because this is very, very sharp, this pointy point, and they're very sharp. They always have a cap on for safety, and if you can get one with a little brush on the end. Sometimes when you buy a sewing machine you get this one. I don't know if I got this one with mine or if I bought it, I can't remember, but this one is a bit bigger, as you can see, so it's good for bigger seams, and this one is good for the finer, sorry I keep missing the camera, this one is good for the finer seams. Can you see it properly? Yeah, it's really sharp. And this one, the bigger one, is good for bigger seams for, say, such as jeans and things like that. Also, if you have a zip that's gone and you want to change the zip, they're really good for getting the old zips out as well. So I do forget to cap them, but I do tend to pop them in here face down, so the pointy bits are hidden anyway. So I do tend to pop them in there like that in my little plant pot. Okay, so this one, you can make these. There are videos online. There's a lady who I'm friends with on Facebook, Debbie. She makes these, and in her book there's one of these to make. So if you want to have a look, let me know and I'll tell you where to go to look for this, or an idea to make it once you've started sewing, once we get onto this machine sewing. Okay, now leading on from pins, this is one of the best bits of kit that I have, and it's a extendable magnet. So I am forever dropping pins on the floor. When you're sewing and you're pinning and unpicking, they drop on the floor, you can't find them, you can't see them, stick in the carpet. All you need to do is, I'll show you with my pot, put where you think it's roughly roundabout, wiggle it about, and it picks up a mountain of stuff. Anything that's metal, it will stick to. Brilliant, brilliant piece of kit. Don't be without one. That's all I'll say. Don't be without one. It'll save lots of sore feet if you stand on a pin by accident. And all you need to do is pull and let go when you're putting them off. I'll do that again so you can see. So there, look, oh, loads of them on there. Loads of them. Safety pins, paper clips, pegs, bulldog clips, the lot. Just pull, like so, and they'll go in your pot. Boop, boop, pull again. It's very strong, actually. I actually think this was from a garage, this magnet. I think I got it from a garage. I'm sure I did anyway. I've got a couple of pins on my laptop, so I'll pick them up off there and pop them back in the tin. So that goes very small as well, so it's as big as, well, it's not even as long as my finger, my hand. So it just goes quite small. And also, it's got a pen clip at the top, so a pocket clip, so you can put it in your pocket if you want to. If you wear a coat or a jacket and you want clip in. Anyhow, there you go. So that's that bit of kit that's handy to have, or a must-have, should I say. The other thing that you can use as when you're trying to weight your fabric into place are fabric weights. Now, this is just a little leather pouch that I have at home. You can buy fabric weights. There's nothing wrong with that. You can buy them. But I bought these from a local DIY store. These are just large metal washers, and I use these to weight my patterns down on top of my fabric. So if you don't want to pin your pattern, or there's a reason that you can't pin your pattern, you can use these and just lay them out. You can put them in 2s or 3s, or however, you can stick them together if you want to. I tend to just put however many I need on top of each other, dot it around the fabric, dot it around the pattern, and we'll go through that when we do the when I teach you how to do the pattern cutting. I'll show you what these can be used, how good they are, instead of pins. So these DIY shop, lots of different sizes. I've got all sorts of shaped ones in here, and then I just tend to use a little leather pouch to keep them in, basically. So I've just pop them in there. It's an old purse thing that I had, and just keep them zipped up. I know exactly where they are, and they're handy all the time. That's a loose pin there I've just dropped, so pop those over there. Now, the other thing that you're going to need to cut the fabric and your pattern is scissors. There are loads of scissors out there. So I've got a range here, and cutting implements, not just scissors. I've got a range here which I'll show you. First of all, I have got a very sharp pointy pair. These are brilliant for snipping threads when you've sewn a seam, snipping the thread off on your fabric before taking it away from the sewing machine. You don't want to be trying to cut a little tiny thread with a big cumbersome pair of scissors. So these are brilliant. These ones are nail scissors, straight nail scissors. This pair, there's another little pair of scissors, very, very sharp. This is more pointy. These are more rounded ended, so they're not as sharp as this one, but not as pointy as this one. They're still as sharp. Whatever scissors, sorry, that you're going to use for your sewing, the tip I would give you is keep them with your sewing kit, because what you don't want is to blunt them using them for other things, such as cutting bacon, or cutting packets, or cutting, I don't know, cardboard or anything like that. So keep your scissors that you're going to use for sewing with your sewing kit. These two tend to stay at the side of my sewing machine in the box that I was showing you earlier, the plastic box. That is actually just a big cupcake box. I just took the liner out, the holder. It had like holders inside it. I just took that out, and that was from Hobbycraft. And it was a double layer. The other layer I do keep bits of scraps of fabric and things in, and they just clip together. But that's what I keep at the side of my sewing machine, and all my bits of kit that I'm using when I'm sewing are handy. So that's what I'd suggest as well. It can be a cardboard box, it doesn't have to be a plastic box. It's whatever you've got and whatever you can afford and whatever you want to use, really. I mean, you could use a basket, it could be a tray with a bit of a lip on the tray, anything you want to, really, that just holds your stuff together, and it sits nicely at the side of your machine, and everything's handy. You're not rooting round and looking in drawers and things for your bits and pieces that you need. So carrying on with cutting and what have your scissors, I have a pair of these are dressmaking scissors, but these ones are my old ones that I have demoted, if you like, to pattern cutting scissors. So these is what I use for paper cutting, but only on the sewing side, patterns and templates, that type of thing. So they're still sharp, but I don't use them for cutting my fabric anymore, just for my paper patterns. So that's a good pair of scissors. When you buy scissors, get them to suit the shape of your hands. Not all scissors are the same, so you need to feel that the feel is right in your hand, because when you start sewing, you're going to be cutting fabric and paper and all sorts of things, and you need a good pair of scissors. So these are the paper ones that were for fabric. Now the other ones I bought, these ones are by Carbond. These are really sharp fabric scissors. They're heavy. Whereas these ones have got a plastic handle. These have got a built-in or grown-on metal handle. So it's all one piece that's folded into the blade. Really sturdy, and you can hear the noise. There's no better noise than that noise. And when you're cutting fabric, fantastic noise. I love it. It reminds me of when I was little and my mum used to be cutting out. These are also, you can tighten them up a little bit if they need to be a bit looser or a bit stiffer, tighter for cutting. Depends on the fabric. These you can adjust. So this one is you can see the shape of the blade here, and that the bottom is straight. You can get some that are curved, but if you can get a straight one when you're cutting on a table, which is the best place when you're cutting fabric out, this will sit on the table, so you're not in the air trying to hold them while you're cutting. It sits on the table and it moves along as you move it along like that. So get one with a flat base that's going to give you a solid cutting surface. So that's the other piece of advice I can give you, and keep those solely for fabric. Don't leave them out so the kids can get them, your husband can get them, he wants to cut bits of fuse wire or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I've seen it all before. I've seen it all before. Fuse wire, plastic, strimmer wire, whatever. These, hide them, guard them with your life. You need these to cut your fabric and cut it easily. So that's those two. And then the other, well, you can get pinking shears. Now, as I said to you before, on the last video, we have a caravan, and I've took a lot of my sewing stuff there. So pinking shears, which are brilliant for cutting fabric out and sealing the edges so that it don't fray and saves you having to neaten it, etc. Then they're a good investment too. Again, don't let the kids take them and cut round Christmas cards to make tags, make them with a zigzag edge or anything like that. But I will show you those when I get back to the caravan, because of this lockdown. We're not allowed there at the moment. So yeah, the zigzag scissors, perfect if you don't want to have to neaten your seams on your sewing items. So we'll have a look at those as well. And then the other type of cutting implement is a rotary cutter. Now these have always got a safety blade. This one is a Fiskars one. Yeah, Fiskars. And you squeeze the handle to drop the blade, cut along where you're cutting, let the handle go. And then if you pop it down on the table, you're not at any danger of cutting yourself, because the blade's safely tucked away. You can lock it out if you're cutting a long piece, so you can lock it by pressing this button, and then when you let go of the handle, the blade is still visible. Keep these away from yourself, fingers and kids' fingers, and off your polished table, or away from animals and pets, any dogs, anything at all that could cut. You don't want this near it. It's razor sharp. To let go the blade and hide it, you press the button and it pops the handle back out and the blade back in for safety. Some of them you have to push and retract the blade for it to work. Always get into the habit, if you're using a rotary cutter, of retracting the blade immediately you've cut the fabric, and then you know that you're working safely. Now if you're going to use a rotary cutter, you'll need a cutting mat, is what they're called. This is I think this is A4. Yeah, near enough A4 anyway. Yeah, A4 cutting mat. On my Christmas wish list, although it's a few months away, is a big cutting mat. I would like one the size of a tabletop if I could, but they are quite expensive. If you use this and you cut fabric on this with your rotary cutter, it won't cut through this. It'll cut a line and then it'll self-heal. They like heal themselves, so they'll last forever. Well, maybe not forever, but near enough forever. This one I've had about 10 years, I think. I use it for card making, and I use it for fabric cutting as well. When I'm doing patchwork, things like that, or I need a little space to cut on, and you do whatever, it seals itself back up. Put it away for reuse. A little tip with these: always keep them flat, otherwise they can bend. This one's a bit bendy, but I have had it flat with some weight on it. But they can bend, they will bend, and they will get the shape back if you put some weight back on them and leave them to stand for a few hours. So yeah, cutting mat, self-healing cutting mat, that's another good thing that you're going to need if you're going to use a rotary cutter. If you're not going to use a rotary cutter, you don't need the cutting mat. Okay, so that's that piece of kit. Then the other thing that you'll find useful is these bits and bobs. You need something to mark fabric with. If you're going to be drawing freehand, or you want to mark certain points, when we come on to the pattern, when I explain the pattern pieces to you, there'll also be some markings on each pattern which I need to go through with you and show you. You need to mark these onto your fabric. These are the things that you can use. Now this one is my old fabric marker pen. This is an air erasable, so it's like a really fine felt tip pen, if you can see it. And after, I think it's 72 hours, this one, the air actually makes the ink disappear. This is my new one, and this one is a water soluble one. So you mark your fabric with this one. And then once you can either sponge it off with a flannel or a sponge and a bit of water, damp cloth. Sorry, not damp water, damp cloth. Oh my lord, damp water. Yeah. Anyway, with a damp cloth, or you can leave it and finish off your garment, and when you come to wash it, it'll wash away. It'll only be fine anyway. So you won't see it, especially on a fabric where usually when I can speak, you usually mark it on the inside of the fabric anyway, so you won't see it anyway. If you catch it on the fabric, yeah, just wipe it off with a damp cloth, or wait till you've washed it. If you want to wash the finished garment before wearing it, that's fair enough. So that's my new one. I also have a normal standard pencil that I use quite a bit. I mark patterns with these, or if you're crafting and you need to sew, say if you're sewing a pincushion and you want to just mark where the corners are going to be, or a little bit where you want to leave the seam open to stuff the pincushion, this is perfect for just doing that. It's not going to see, it's a normal pencil, there's nothing special about it. What are the numbers or letters, aren't they? H or HB or whatever they are. This isn't even marked up as a with a number, so a letter, sorry. So I don't even know what that one is. All I know is it works, so that's perfect. And then the other thing you can use on your fabric is what we call tailor's chalk. You can get them in different colours. This is a white one, which is good for dark fabrics, and it just brushes off. Once you've cut, marked, done whatever you need to do, you can just brush it off. You could use your machine brush on your quick unpick, seam ripper, quick unpick, whichever you want to call it, to just brush that off the fabric. So it's just like chalk, but it's a really fine point edge, and you just mark it along and brush it off afterwards if you need to. It might just come off anyway with handling it after time. So that's the marking parts. Now the other thing that you will need is an iron, because your seams need to be ironed each time that you sew a seam. It needs to be ironed. This will give you a perfect finish, and it'll make it easier to sew. Your fabric will be totally flat all the time, because when you're trying to sew two pieces together, if you've already had a seam in one and you're trying to sew another piece to it, if your seam isn't quite flat, it'll have a bubble in it or a ripple in the joint or something like that. So you need an iron. Now this one I've got here is a little travel iron, which is perfect for ironing little bits and pieces garments, whether it's a collar or cuffs or round a buttonhole, or if you're doing patchwork, or if you're making handbags, or because you can make anything at all. Once you can sew, you can make anything. This is a steam one as well. Sorry, a spray one, so you can spray your seam and iron it and make it and press it. You can use a normal iron. There's nothing stopping you using a normal iron. I would say that once you start sewing and you're going to start pressing your seams, you will need to leave your iron switched on for the duration of your the sewing time that you're going to be running that particular day. So if you're going to sew for an hour, leave it on for the hour, because you'll be up and down and backwards and forwards to the iron, switching it on, waiting for it to heat up, switching it off, letting it cool down. So if you've got one, if you get an iron that's got an automatic switch off, that's fine, but otherwise leave your iron switched on. Okay, so travel iron's perfect. Bigger seams, or when your garment's nearly finished, yeah, use a standard iron. I use this for sewing my seams on sleeves, things like that, and then once I've pressed them and I've made the full garment, then I sew. I keep saying sew, don't I? I'm sorry. I iron it with a bigger iron, with a normal iron, once it's finished, and you get a good finish then. You know, when you're in shops and everything looks perfect when it's hung up and perfect, then you go in another shop, say, I don't know, one of these second shops where they sell things, and things look a bit crumpled and they don't look quite perfect. There's nothing wrong with them, but this will give you the difference between a perfectly sewn and pressed garment and one that looks a bit wrinkled and looks like you don't really care about it. So yeah, iron your seams all the time. Every time you sew one, iron it. Get into the habit. Now, to keep all your kit in, you need a box or a basket or I don't know, shoe box. You can use anything. I have on here a biscuit tin. You can use, this is an old one. This is HRA's Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson when they got married. So this is an old one. This had buttons and things in. So because you will collect things along the way. If you get anything where if you get a garment that you're getting rid of, say, you need to make sure, as long as you're not taking it to the charity shop, if you're discarding it totally, binning it, whichever, then take the buttons off, take the zips out. Save yourself some money along the way. We'll do a tip video telling you about how to save money along the way and what to look for and bits and bobs that you can use, like chocolate boxes. If you get a chocolate box at Christmas and it's got a nice ribbon round it to fasten it together, or you get pyjamas with them now, don't you, wrap round them as a gift with a big bow on, save the ribbons and get going round all your family when they're opening the presents and pinch the ribbons and say, can I have the ribbon, can I have the ribbon, save me it, save me it. My mum used to save me all the ribbons off all the biscuit tins, all the blooming chocolate boxes, anything that came with a ribbon on, she'd save it for me. Put them in a box, you'll never know when you're going to need it. They will always come up useful and you'll be wanting, even if it's a couple of inches of ribbon, save it. You never know, and it'll save you a fortune in the end. So this is just a biscuit tin. You can get something like this one, which is a clip, a plastic box with a clip lid, and inside, I'll take the lid off, here I keep, see, move the camera a bit, all my sewing machine feet. There's all sorts of feet in here for the sewing machine, because you do get a few with your sewing machine when you buy it. I've got all sorts in there, and then you can buy feet separately. Well, this one here I've not used yet. This is a ruffler foot for the sewing machine. I've also got in here safety pins, press studs. These are all things to have that's handy as well. So if you know, if you've got any press studs, if your mum or your nan's got any lying about that they don't use, that they don't need, if they used to sew, or they've bought one to put one on something and not use the rest of them, I always save all little bits like that. Pins in here so they're easy to get hold of. These are fancy little buttons that you can pick up along the way. Oh, which ones are these ones? These have got dogs on and flowers. I have a big drawer set with all different buttons in that people have given me or saved off things for me. So, and you know, when you get the spare packets on your clothes that you buy, cut them off and put them in your button box, and then you know where they are. So they always go waylay somewhere, I keep them all together. So these ones I bought for a project. So this is why these are in here, because these I'm going to take to the caravan. So, and then underneath in this box I have lots of bits and pieces. I have got all in little pots. These are rings to do belts and curtain rings, and if I take a buckle off, if I get rid of a belt or anything, I take the buckle off and save them. What else is in here? These are the things, the little tools that do put jeans buttons back on, and poppers. These have come out of off a garment that I bought. This is like a press stud thing, a replacement jeans zip press stud as well. And well, there's all sorts of bits in there. I'll show you these. These you can buy packs of buttons for jeans, and these are the ones that you hammer on. So excuse my dog coughing in the background. He was asleep when I started videoing, but anyhow, he's human, I suppose, isn't he? Well, no, he's not human, but I treat him like a human, so I make an excuse for him like a human being as well. So, love me, love my dogs. Right, okay, so put that one in there. I've also got in here, oh, he's nudging me now. Let me, they're empty. And my staple gun. Oh, and I can get it out. Staple gun and staples, so I like to cover stools and things like that, or if you're doing pelmets or anything, you need a staple gun. Well, you'll need all these things you'll collect along the way if you're going to do curtains, or if you're going to do pelmets. So there's no ideal what you should and shouldn't have, really. It depends what you're going to do, whether you're going to sew fabric, clothes, or whether you're going to make curtains or bedding or cushions. It all depends, but you'll learn along the way of what you need and what you don't need. There's no point going out and spending a fortune on a load of stuff that you're not going to need. Excuse me, readjusting myself, on things that you're not going to need. So just wait and play it by ear. This is another box full of things that I use. I'll take this one off. This was from the range, I think. I've got all sorts in here. These were making taggy blankets. These were to hang on push chairs with taggy blanket things on. I've got bits of ribbon in here, bits of thread, some little pegs here. Look, these are like the ones I was saying. These are the wooden ones, mini wooden pegs. These will hold your fabric as well. These are tiny. You can see. I think they're about, oh, how big are they? Does it say? There's 60 in here. I think they're about an inch or 2.5 centimetres a peg. I've got lots of fancy buttons in here. These are all crafty bits, not ones that I'd normally use for sewing. These are when I've done dummy straps. These are the clips to do dummy straps with. And then you just thread your fabric through, and once you've sewn it, thread your fabric through and fasten it on. Make dummy clips with them. So you can do all sorts of things. And on the bottom here I've got a collection of bias binding and rick-rack and things like that in there. Trimmings. That needs filling up actually with all the bits I've got. I will be taking that to the caravan as well. The best thing to do is to get boxes or reuse boxes. If you get like a hairdryer in a box and it's a decent sized box, use your box. Save the box until you can afford to replace it with a good sewing box or something. It's up to you where you keep it. It's your stuff, nobody's going to look at it. I'll just put this back up a little bit. You see my picture of the teddies on the wall? Love that, love it. It's a bit faded now being in the conservatory, but yeah, we like it. Okay, so and then the next thing that you will need is another demonstration on patterns. So that'll be the next one that we do, and also on fabric, because to understand fabric, to be able to use fabric properly so that it hangs correctly on a garment that you make, you need to understand how it's made, how to cut it, how to measure it, because there are specific ways to do that. And I'm going to teach you all those as well. I'll do a tutorial on those. So I've got a list, a little card, which I'll show you here, of what's coming up. these are the next few videos. There are going to be more than this, but this is just the next few. So we've done basic kit today, then we're going to do understanding patterns, basic measuring of yourself, because that's, you need to learn how to do that and how to make that pattern the perfect fit for you, cutting out the pattern and fabric, sewing machine basics and functions, sewing safely, which is a really important one. But on top of that, there'll be other things such as doing buttonholes. I've been asked for a demonstration on buttonholes on the sewing machine by Maria. I'll be doing those where my main machine has got an automatic buttonhole maker, which makes it easy to do. But also, if you've got a sewing machine that hasn't got an automatic buttonhole maker, I'll show you how to make a buttonhole with a sewing machine that's got no buttonhole function at all, using a zigzag stitch. So we'll do that as well. We're also going to be doing lots of other demonstrations from type of seams that there are: French seams, fell seams, straight seams, zigzag seams, curved seams, all that type of thing. Inserting zippers, adding buttons, adding embellishments, embroidery, and all sorts in between. So next, after we've done all these, we're going to do a first project, which is going to be a drawstring lingerie bag. Now, this laundry bag can be, or the bag can be, used for anything. It can be any size. It's a perfect starting project because it's got sewing straight seams, doing corners, inserting a cord, a draw cord, and adding a casing to put the draw cord in, but also just doing it round the top as well, the drawstring. So you can have a drawstring that's halfway down the bag, or an inch from the top, or round the top. And I've got a couple here that I'll show you. This one's round the top, and that's a fabric one. And this is what we're going to be doing on the first project, to get you into corners and straights and cutting out and adding this ribbon or rope. You can put anything in there: cord, ribbon, lace, whatever you've got handy, shoelace even, whatever you want to. So that will be after the basic techniques and things that I've just gone through. That can be used for makeup. I had my vinyl gloves in it when I went shopping the other week. I took them out to wash it because I'd spilt some hand sanitizer on it, so I washed it and it's ready to go again. I just popped my gloves and my hand sanitizer in there, pulled it closed, popped it in my handbag, and then I've got everything in there, and my mask, my face mask. I've got everything I needed to go shopping in there to keep myself safe. That's my dogs running about. Sorry. And then these ones are net ones that you can use for loose vegetables in the supermarket when you go shopping. So these are made out of old net curtains. What we used to know, not fashionable really anymore. I know people have them. I've got a couple up at my door, but old net curtains, drawstring bags. You can do them any size. You could even start with a small one, and once you've done a couple of small ones, you could make a big one, like a Christmas sack. With Christmas is coming up, not too, I know it sounds a long way away, Christmas, but it's not. You could do a Christmas sack for your children. You could put an initial on there. You can put a picture of Santa on there. We can look at all things like that. And we will look at some Christmas projects further down the line as well. I think that's all I need to tell you today, apart from thank you for subscribing, thank you for giving me the thumbs up, thank you for liking, and please keep commenting. Please subscribe if you haven't. They'll really, really help me with the subscriptions and give me the motivation to keep going for you. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. So until next time, see you later. Bye.